Welcome back to Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host, Sayan, and today we are going straight into the fire because, let's be real, the world's moving fast, people are overstimulated, AI is rewriting the rules, and half of us are one notification away from absolutely melting. So, instead of melting, what if we alchemize? Today's guest is Michael Dugan, author of Turning Snowflakes into Diamonds and the creator of the Becoming Diamond Framework. Michael has logged 2,000 plus hours as a professional trainer with the world's largest automotive group. Translation: he's coached performance under pressure in real rooms with real stakes. No fluffy Pinterest quotes, he teaches people how to turn pressure into power, master emotional intelligence, and stay calm, confident, and unshakable when it counts. So, today's conversation is this idea: your frequency is your currency. How you show up, how you lead, and how you stay grounded when everyone around you is kind of melting. Core angle: high performance identity, emotional leadership, and presence. So, this is the stuff that changes how people experience you in a room before you even speak, right? You've all heard about it. So let's straight get into it. So it's a pleasure to have you here with me today, Michael.
Thank you, Cyan. It's an honor to be here. When we
Yeah, the
talk,
honor is mine, Michael.
oh, thank you, my friend. When we talk
Yeah,
about
you were saying.
frequency is the new currency, and that comes
Mhm.
from like years ago, your listeners have certainly heard when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. And then I reframed it, kind of spun a little bit, and I said, when the frequency is ready, the frequency will appear. So the universe will bring you back to you whatever your frequency is. And one of the things I share with people, when you look at from a higher state of consciousness, you have a higher frequency. And so the higher, like a super enlightened being would have a super high frequency. And a person that was maybe more automated would not have as high of a frequency. But I want to make a distinction. One is not better than the other, they're equal. When you look at the universe like it's one thing, everything is equal. But the ego creates separation. So in today's world, we're in a world of duality. And from my perspective, the world beyond at the highest level is a world of love and connection and singularity. So everything's the same, and we incarnated into this world for a duality, the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, the creative and the destructive. So in this world, we have to judge to survive. So the
Yeah.
ego, what the ego does is the ego has to make quick decisions to survive. So the universe keeps what's the most valuable. And if you're valuable, you stay with the universe. And the higher your frequency, the more value you are going to have. Because your frequency is your consciousness, and with consciousness comes capabilities. So a super enlightened being, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, whoever, whatever enlightened being you want to choose, they have a high level of consciousness, so they have more capabilities than a normal person. They don't think they're doing anything special because they know what they're doing. They're one with the universe and it's flowing through them. But somebody that does not have the consciousness at the same level might say it's a miracle. So when we understand that we are transmitters, our vibration and our frequency is constantly communicating to reality. One of my gifts,
Yeah.
and I say this with humility, is to sell people on themselves. And oftentimes I say to audiences, and sometimes I get almost 100% feedback, Cyan. I say, is it possible, and I'll say this to the listeners, is it possible that you're more powerful than you've ever imagined? Is it possible? And everybody will say yes. And then I said, give yourself permission to consider that that is true. And I know that that is true. And what limits you is your ego and your limiting beliefs. So as you become more conscious, your frequency, you recognize that there's two of you in there. Your soul is in your body. And so what happens is, but we're ran by the ego, which is a product of the body. But what we want to do is be ran by the soul and run the body and bring heaven down on earth. As opposed to going to heaven, what we want to do is become conscious in this world. And this is going to make you more valuable. And so in essence, that's what I mean by frequency is the new currency. Because not only does it make it more valuable to everybody and everything, but you recognize that you are consciously co-creating your life. So you're like an
Yeah.
icebreaker in the fabric of reality, creating your life by your frequency because you can hold notes of everything that you want to create. And as you hold that note like a musical instrument, it shows up in your reality. And when it shows up in your reality, you go, wow, I did that. So now you believe it's true, and then you do it again. So it's like it's a muscle, like a master musician, you get better at holding notes.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I get, like, yes, it's about what people feel around you. I mean, two people can say the same thing, deliver the same kind of message, and only one in the room actually leaves an impression on the other. And while you talked about what is frequency in plain English, so that the listeners can understand, I want to talk a little bit about why of the frequency aspect. So, as in, why does frequency shapes perception, opportunity and influences people around us? So, with that being said, okay, so the question to you is, why does someone with calm presence get more opportunities than someone with louder skills?
Yeah, my perspective is connection is the name of the game. So one aspect is that if you're truly present, like when I'm talking to audiences, I have a training style called suggestology, that's accelerated learning. And if you're not listening to me, what I'm saying is bouncing off of you. So if you're not present, you're not integrating with life. And so what happens is like the more curious you are, the more present you are. So in the game of life, the sacred game of life, when you're across from workers, if you're present with them, you're going to make their ego feel significant because most people think from the second they wake up to the second they go to bed. They have an untrained mind, so the brain automates. So when you teach your brain to be completely quiet, human beings that are around you are going to have a rare experience. You're almost going to be like a unicorn or a diamond, as I'd say, because you're so calm. Now, when you're calm and quiet, what's going to happen is you are going to be more aware of everything that happens around you. So you are going to see opportunities that other people did not see. Because when they're thinking, they're probably in survival. So they have an unconscious bias towards the negative, and their brain expands the negative and edits out all the positive. So when you're completely present and your hormones are present, not only are you going to create new opportunities, but you're going to see new opportunities, and people are going to give you new opportunities because you are so rare amongst the field of human beings that lose their attention 7 to 11 times per minute.
Yeah, I love that because it truly explains why the grind culture can still lose. You can hustle all day, stay busy, stack skills, but I think if your energy feels chaotic at the end of the day, people can still sense it and instinctively pull back. And that might feel awkward, at the start, but um, and people, most of them don't even realize while they're in this loop of observing why and when that happens, and that's why and where I want to zoom out for a second and talk about how someone actually builds a steadier inner state over a period of time. So, could you walk us through your life code, which is love, integrate, flow, evolve? What does each one look like in real life, not just on some kind of whiteboard or piece of paper?
Yeah, thank you. I think I almost like, I don't want to throw people off with the woo woo, but definitely like channeled it. I think, sometimes acronyms come to me that make sense. And love, I had on the whiteboard before it disappeared, love is the answer. And years ago, they said every speaker that has something worth saying has a laser compelling message. And this is probably 25 years ago. And the one I came up with was because of a lack of love of myself, I've learned to love myself. And and I've increased my understanding. Maybe if you can learn love yourself, learn to love yourself, we can change the world. And love for me is the creative energy. Earlier, when I talked about yin and yang, well, you have the creative energy and the destructive energy, and they work together. So you might call the yang necessary evil. You have the yin and the yang. Well, love creates. So when you learn to love all of your life, you don't just live your life and say, I love this, but I didn't love this. You love all of it. And then when you love it, you integrate with it. So I look at it like my job, my soul incarnated in this body, whether that's true or not, that's how I look at it, incarnated in this body to have experiences. And my job is to experience life to its fullest because I want to have a life with no regrets. So I want to love all of my experiences easy, with equally, I mean. I want to love all of my experiences equally. And the more I love them, the more I integrate with them. I'm integrating with these experiences. And then when you go with the flow, you master the skill of acceptance. Acceptance is a skill that people can learn. So you learn to go with the flow of the universe. So now you're working with the universe and not against the universe. And you learn to operate with your heart and not your head. So when you love and then you integrate and then you go with the flow, you have a much more fun, harmonic life. You mentioned chaotic people and people in stress because they have all these energy drains everywhere because they're not necessarily living in alignment on purpose. And then you evolve. So in my mind, now let me make it before I say this. I say every human being thinks they're right. So the ego wants to be right to survive. Every religion thinks it's right. Every political party thinks it's right. The problem with the ego is it can create evolution. And I mean, it can create separation. The ego can create separation. And so what I'm saying is that for me, evolving myself is the name of the game, and evolution is the name of the game for me to become more conscious and for the human race to become more conscious. So we evolve. We're no longer so separated. We learn to love everybody. Because as a sales trainer, the ego likes to judge from the sake of survival. So the second I judge you, I lose influence. But if I understand you, I gain influence. So love understands and the ego judges. And so when love understands, it creates connection. A form of love is connection. A form of love is acceptance. So what happens is we as a species, we learn to love everybody because we understand that everybody has a unique path. And even if they're a person that might be a destructive human being, maybe a dictator, you still love them because if you don't, you're not only are you hurting them, you're hurting everything because everything's interconnected, but you're also hurting yourself because you don't want to sit and hate on a human being. That's destructive to yourself. That's destructive to everybody. So that's why love, integrate, flow, and evolve.
Yeah, that's clean, Michael. It really feels like a blueprint for emotional leadership, not perfection, not aggression, something people can actually live into. And it feels especially relevant right now because I think since everything is accelerating with AI coming up right now as well, it's speeding decisions, attention is fragmented, and a lot of people are losing their footing somewhere or the other. So, I want to bring this into the world that we're actually operating in. We have spoken about this in one of our last episodes as well, where we talk about becoming diamond, right, under that heat of pressure. But right now, I want to switch the context and I want to ask you this that since we have AI, right, we're living in this AI era where it's speeding everything up and people are losing certainty and values, like you said. What's the diamond move when the world is chaotic and attention is fractured?
Yeah, thank you for asking. There's a couple of quotes that come to mind. And one, there could be a meteor coming towards the earth, and it could be the last day on the planet Earth, and I'd still plant a tree. I would still
Hmm.
plant a tree because there's always hope. And then there's a metaphor of a rat where they put a rat in a scientific study in some water, and it treaded water for about 15 minutes and then drowned. And then they gave another rat, they put it in the same cylinder of water, it treaded water for 5 minutes, and then they gave it food, and then it treaded water for 60 hours after that because it had hope. And for us as a species, there's a book called The Fourth Turning, and hope is like that glint that keeps us going. And it's like diamond is like they become so beautiful and so empowered, and they're a super conscious human being. So they're not an automated human being, they're super conscious. And so a diamond has an exponential effect on reality Earlier, we talked about how if you take a penny every day and double it, after 31 days, you'll have $11 million. And every listener here is like an exponential human being. And every human
Right.
being is a diamond, and the universe will make diamonds diamonds, but you can choose to become a diamond. You can say, that's me. I have hope. I want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. I love life. I love this experience, and I love humanity. And AI is not going to go anywhere. The AI is here to stay. So you can love it or you can hate it. And everything is a spectrum. In the universe of duality, you're always going to have positive, negative, rich, poor. And at the beginning, when we learn with AI, you're going to have creative AI and destructive AI. And it's the learning curve with us as a species. So I believe that I have a protective bubble around me. And what protects me is my vibe. What protects me is my frequency. And that's why in the book I talk about the proximity prime, about priming your proximity with love so that you protect you and your family. And also that love is the creative energy. So when you identify, if you understand quantum physics, you understand what you expect is what you create. So you can
Absolutely.
you can quantumly create yourself into an enlightened being. You don't have to spend 30 years in a cage in a cave to be an enlightened being, or even lifetime after lifetime of the real incarnation. Right now, we're at a point where you have to give yourself permission to be conscious and be it now, because the universe needs you. The universe needs diamonds, super conscious human beings, because as a species, we learn with example. We're a mimicking species, so people will mimic, they'll learn by your example. Plus, I shared in a clip I did recently, not everybody wants to learn from me. If they don't resonate with me, they don't want to learn from me. If they think they're more intelligent than me, they don't want to learn from me. Some people just want to be my friend. Everybody will have a unique audience, and the universe will put that audience in front of you. And every person that's listening has a unique audience. But your frequency can get through deaf ears. Your frequency has the ability to impregnate everything in reality. And so does your example. And so I think on the bell curve, you're always going to have lovers and haters. And I think your example still teaches the haters, even though they would never admit it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of advice I think people actually need, Michael. And what I'm taking away from this conversation is that in this particular era, in a world where tools are getting faster, the real differentiator is who are you being while you use them. And it's such an important fact is when your inner state is steady, your decision will automatically land better. Your leadership will feel more safer, right? And people. So is this a beacon that you're creating around people, right? With that frequency, that natural frequency that you're radiating all the way. And I think people will start trusting you even before you speak. I think, and that is so important in this highly disconnected world today, is that people judge us from a distance. And I think that's where it becomes really important to, I think, radiate the good vibrations, right? So, Michael, thank you for bringing so much clarity and perspective into this conversation. And I think you've given people something more useful than just tactics. You've given them a way to stand, anchored when everything else is accelerating. So, thanks again for that, Michael. So, just before we wrap this up, would love to ask you, where can people find you and buy your book?
Thank you, Cyan. It's on Amazon, in Audible, Kindle, or hardback. You can find it on the website becomingdiamond.com. You could also sign up for the Diamond Manifesto, and the 30-day Diamond Sprint, which is 30 videos day after day after day after day after day to help you on your path. And you can find me on TikTok or on Facebook or on Instagram. And it's just an honor to be able to share time with you again, my friend. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for that, Michael. Dear listeners, I'll have the details in the show notes for you so you can view and purchase this book and also connect with Michael anytime that you want. And if this episode hits, I don't just want you to listen and go on to the next. I want you to implement this. It's a simple mini challenge for the next 24 hours or maybe 48 hours. Before every conversation today, I want you to stop for 10 seconds and ask what frequency am I bringing into this moment, and two, what frequency do I want people to feel after I leave. Then do one tiny upgrade. Slow your breath, all right, relax your jaw, drop your shoulders, speak 10% slower, and this is the most important of all. And I want you to see what happens next, because I think your frequency isn't some kind of a vibe check, it's a leadership decision. All right, Sayan here, you're listening to Healthy Mind Healthy Life. Until next time, please take care.